Welcome to A Drink of Wisdom with Jay Wise and Nathan Drinkard. I'm your host, Cody Ward. Thanks for spending some of your time with us tonight. What's going on, guys?
Let's talk some sports, baby.
This is
A Drink of Wisdom.
All right, guys, let's have a look at another NFL star looking for a new home. Trent Williams versus Washington adventure was turned up another notch this week after his agent publicly voiced his displeasure with the organization and again demanded a trade or release. The seven-time Pro Bowler will be 32 when the season starts and hasn't played since 2018, with his last full season being registered in 2013. Williams' unhappiness stems from an argument over medical treatments administered by the team dating back almost 2 years. The Redskins want premier capital in trade, Williams wants a new contract on the way out, and many teams would likely want his services. All right, Drinks, got two parts here. Who is the most to blame for this messy relationship, and what team could most use Williams' services?
Well, in that first half of the question, the blame is on the Redskins. Let's be serious here. This guy has he done made his intentions very well known. He don't want to be there. Like, no one is confused on what Trent Williams is saying. If you're confused, you need to hit the books again and re-roll in high school, because he done made this one very clear: sign, seal, and deliver. He ain't trying to be on the Washington Redskins roster no longer than he has to. So they're definitely going to get the blame for that. But me and Jay was talking about this earlier, and it's crazy because he plays the position that's probably the third most of a premium behind quarterback and pass rusher. He's a left tackle. Why is this so hard? I don't know. This should be a very simple thing. I'm led to believe the Redskins they out here bull jobbing. That's when it comes when the rubber hits the road, the Redskins bull jobbing. And what do I mean by they bull jobbing? They're asking for something unbelievable. They gotta be, because how many guys we see in his position that asked to get traded and that's not traded by now? What are we talking about here? We were just talking about your boy in Jacksonville. He didn't want to be there. They franchise tagged him. Now let's move on. Now he's gone. Like, that's the way it's supposed to go. However, Trent Williams is so valuable that he could come out here and act a fool, damn near pull Antonio Brown, and he's still on the roster. Like, this dude must be really good. He is really something. I really got to watch this guy. He is something. No, man. The Redskins is bull jobbing. And if they bull jobbing, guess what? Guess who get the blame? And we just mentioned him in the last segment. One Ron Rivera. This is called. He's the GM. He's over the personnel. What do you ask for, Ron? I mean, listen. I would rather for you to ask for too much than don't ask for enough. So, you know what I'm saying? We got guys out here that's not even asking for enough. So, whatever. But this is crazy. Now, we talked about some teams. The first team that comes in mind, the Tampa Bay Bucks. They would love to have him. Tom Brady needs him. So that's the first team. Jay, he brought up the Bengals. I mean, not the Bengals. I'm sorry, the Browns. That's a team that can use them. It's teams out there, but they're not paying top dollar for a guy that was drafted in 2010. Like, what we talking about? 2020, man. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. Big fella, we're not doing it. And it's not his fault. Like I said, the guy wants out. You know what I'm saying? He's been a premier guy. Honestly, I'm gonna be 100% real with you. I would like to see him play just to see how good he is still, because he hasn't played in a while. Like, last played 16 games in 2013. Like, I wanna see what exactly are we making a big fuss about at this point, because I haven't seen a whole lot of Trent Williams. Have you? Yeah. I mean, am I missing something here? Because I haven't seen a lot from him. So it's some teams that could use his services, but at the end of the day, Redskins, y'all might want to go ahead and deal this guy before y'all overprice yourself and then end up trading him for like a 7th-round pick.
Yeah, this is mostly on the Redskins, especially going back to last season. And
we've talked about Bruce Allen from time to time. He is no longer employed by the Washington Redskins, and he was the root of a lot of those issues, being the general manager, president, vice president, whatever, how many hats he was wearing that wasn't qualified to have any of them. But this is a really messy situation. And we're at the point now that we haven't seen him so long that we got Drink over here questioning, and rightfully so to a point, what has he even got? Because we're sitting in the last segment talking about Cam Newton and his injuries, his durability. We got to say the same things about Trent Williams, don't we? For whatever reason, we haven't seen you play since 2018. We haven't seen you play a full 16-game schedule since 2013. I got it, 7-time Pro Bowler, but here's the reasons why the trade market isn't going to be good. Number one, you're right, 32 years of age, been in the league, that's going on about, 10 years in the league. Then we're looking at, he's got 1 year remaining on his contract. He didn't play last year. So you add up all those things, you're not getting a whole lot in return. So if you want to lay some of the blame at Ron Rivera for right now, that's probably fair. And I'd be interested in knowing what efforts Ron Rivera has made to keep Trent Williams around, because a lot of all the ill will, perhaps, or at least probably, I'd say about 90% of the ill will that Trent Williams has for the Redskins is aimed at Bruce Allen and medical personnel that misdiagnosed that cancerous tumor that we were talking about, which is a major deal. And they were messing this up for like years, if you read some of the reports out there. So, but for right now, on the other hand, for Trent Williams, when you look at Bruce Allen being gone, I believe some of the medical personnel that were responsible for this nonsense, they're out of here now. So if you're Trent Williams, and Trent Williams has came out and said he's got love and respect for the owner, Dan Snyder. So you add up all these considerations. Is it fair to at least say, hey, for Trent Williams' agent to say, hey, Trent, all these dudes are gone. Why don't we just come out here and play ball for 1 year and then move on? I mean, what's the harm in that? Now, you can also argue, hey, if you're done, you're done. Because some things, I mean, when you get to the level of like cancer and that level of life and death, I mean, that could be just a point of no return, no matter who's in charge or who's not in charge. So I get it. I'm just offering that up as an option. But all in all, at this point, obviously, unless the Redskins are just playing around, there's no real market for him. So you might as well just let him go at this point. Because he told us last year he's not playing. He's not playing for the Redskins. So I don't really get why they keep dilly-dallying around playing. Just get him all out of here and move on, because he's not doing you no good just sitting there not playing. He reported like October 29th of last year, and was like, oh, he gonna play now? No, he's not gonna play. He's just showing up so he get that year of service, so he can roll it over to his, free agency, all that stuff. So now we're just 1 year closer to that actually happen. They should just let him go. And as far as you laid out the teams that should be looking for him, Tampa Bay is an obvious one, because they're in a win now situation. I told you last week their tackles aren't that good, and you need all the offensive line help you can have when you got Tom Brady behind you. That's just the way it is. So that'd be a big deal. And I think both Ohio teams, I think both Cleveland and Cincinnati should take a look at picking up Trent Williams. The Browns were weak at tackle last season. That was as many weapons as they have. They couldn't really protect Baker Mayfield. They got Jack Conklin on one side now. You get Trent Williams over there, that immediately becomes one of the better tackle combinations in the NFL. And I mean, Cincinnati, they let go of Cordy Glenn. And what better way to get your rookie quarterback started on the right foot than getting him a bona fide left tackle in there to make sure his blind side protected, which is the same thing I was telling Washington last year with Dwayne Haskins. Get your stuff together with your bona fide Pro Bowl left tackle to help him out. But obviously that didn't happen. But that's what teams that should be interested.
Yeah, this one's interesting because for the longest time it was just, the Redskins are just dropping the ball left, right, and center. They're one of those teams that just never get it right. Throw them in with the Lions, Jags, and the other ones. They just never seem to get it right, especially lately. But there's one thing I think I think the most interesting thing of the situation is leverage is limited both with Williams and with the team because Williams already held out, and from what I understand, he can't do that again. Otherwise, he loses the whole year, and he start getting some ridiculous fines. Like he'd basically have to retire if he held out this year. So the holdout is one of the only ways that players really have a true leverage over their team, and he won't have that this coming season if he doesn't play, or if he's going to play still. And the Redskins are kind of over a barrel too, because teams that are going to potentially trade for Williams know the animosity, they know the friction, and they know the Redskins are under pressure to dump him off. So when you have that kind of situation, typically a team goes, no, you got to get rid of this guy. Let's talk a little bit, right? So you have a kind of a, I guess I call it a Mexican standoff, whatever phrasery you want to use. But you've got everyone's kind of like, was it that Office scene where they're all holding the guns at each other? Yeah. It's kind of like that, So teams know what's going on, and you're talking about a guy that you have a 30% chance of getting a full season out of. 3 of his 10 seasons, he's played the entire 16-game season, and there's also something I read in the Washington Post. I didn't get a chance to finish reading it, but basically there was some reports or some people saying that Williams is looking for a big contract. He wants an extension, right. And 2, he wants to potentially be among the highest paid left tackles. And man, at this point, 32 with a 3-10 shot at getting the best out of you, I'm not giving up picks and that kind of money to roll the dice with you with a way to die. Like, forget about it. So it could be somewhat kind of pushing back on Williams a little bit because he doesn't get to use the Bruce Allen this and that excuse like you were saying, Jay. Those guys are all gone. Like I get like a guy like Ngakwe, like it's the same guys that screwed you over last year. I get it, not wanting to be here. But you talk about Williams, like who exactly are you still mad at? Are you just mad at the logo at this point? Like, or the head athletic trainer was fired, Bruce Allen's out. I mean, you had the owner still there, but I mean he ain't going nowhere. So sorry. And like you said, he says he likes him, so okay. Yep. So it would make a lot of sense because the Redskins really need him. He isn't going to have a lot of other people interested in him, obviously, especially what he's asking for. So as much as it is on the Washington Redskins to go ahead and get him out of town, and this is also interesting too, they can't if they cut him, they're not going to get a compensatory pick like they should get. There's some kind of rule with his time in the league where they're going to get like a 5th round pick at the best for him. So there's a lot of moving parts with this, but Williams is starting to put his own like problems into this, and all parties need to kind of step back, take a breath. They need to figure something out soon because y'all are right. There's several good teams that could use them, including Tampa Bay, and the Bengals are 2 teams I like a lot for him going there. They make a lot of sense when now, Joe Burrow and Brady and all this stuff. They need to get their stuff together because if they keep screwing around, someone's going to have to blink, and it's just not a good thing. This guy's a good player. He should be on the field playing somewhere, so let's hope he is sooner than later.
Yeah, I mean, and at some point, like, and that's another point with, like, he still wants to be among the highest paid tackles in the league. So that's another thing that's driving down his trade value because a team that acquires him, he's going to want to get paid by them. So, but hey, at some point, you saying if they cut him, they get a 5th round pick compensatory?
I think it's like the best. I didn't read the whole thing, but there's some kind of weird rule where the compensation picks just aren't going to be what they should be because of his tenure and something else, some weird rule or something. It's I don't know, some big brain was talking about it. But
hey, if they cut him,
furthers.
If they cut him tomorrow and get any draft pick, Washington's got to take it because at this point, as long as this is drawn out, it's just a spectacle. You talk about blinking, like everybody just look in the mirror and like everybody has black eyes right now because this situation is just so ridiculous. Like they just get him out of there because it's just such a spectacle. We should be through with this. He should be in a new uniform by now.